I'm so excited to see you again.
Yes.
We can do this because what you do is really special and really unique. So, I want to talk about retreats, but I also want to talk about your tattoo ceremony. And of course, today is the only day where I'm not half naked and I have to unbutton to show everybody this beautiful work of art that you gave me back in Tulum that has really not just been a piece of art, but it really has felt like a talisman because my life from the moment that I got this has just changed and evolved in so many positive ways. So I know I asked you this before in person, but how did you get started in doing these tattoo ceremonies?
So I have to start from the very beginning because
Okay.
it was an evolution that took me there. But first of all, I wanted to work with holistic healing. I realized that at 17 years old, when I was in a holistic day festival, and I was like, wow, this is my jam. Reiki, tarot, like essential oils and tantra and all these
Yes.
goodies. And I was just like so excited to be there. And I realized I have to work with that. And so, fast forward, I started studying psychology because I thought that would be a good base for me to then go into supporting people with their self development. But at the same time, I was drinking ayahuasca. So I was 20 years old, drinking ayahuasca and going to psychology school that was a Catholic psychology school. And so for me, it was so much opening at the same time that it didn't feel aligned to continue with psychology. So I felt stuck. And so I started drawing, and I started drawing to feel better and to feel more aligned with myself, and it became really therapeutic for me to draw. And so one day I saw a friend of mine that is a multidisciplinary artist, and she was tattooing my cousin. And I asked her, like, how are you learning to tattoo like this? She was like, oh, I'm just trying. And that was the first moment that I was like, wow, that's really something I want to learn because I absolutely love drawing. And so, fast forward, I was in Ibiza, still in psychology school, still trying to figure out if I should leave the school or not, and my consciousness exploding because I was going to ayahuasca ceremonies every month, and it was really like my spiritual school. And I say that it was the real university that I went to. And I was in Ibiza doing my first training in therapeutic modality. I was studying water flow, that is a water massage. And I must have been like 22 approximately, something like that. And so my friend that was there studying with me, she had a flower of life on her back. And it was exactly like the one that I now have in my hand, that it was very dainty and like negative. So it's almost like lace.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that and I was like, wow, that's exactly what I want, but I want in my hand. And she said, this was done with the crystal. And I was like, what? How do you get that to it with the crystal? And she said, oh, she puts the needle in the crystal and then she tattoos dot by dot. The name is Handpoke. And that was the second moment that I was like, wow, I really need to learn this. This is what I want to do. It was really strong. I remember the day like if it was today. But then there's not really this friend that tattooed her. She lived in another city, and Handpoke back then, imagine this was 8 years ago, it was not that well known. So I was waiting for the opportunity to learn Handpoke from someone that I knew, and or someone that would be willing to teach me, but it was never happening. And so I started learning with the machine. But then the machine also never worked for me, and it didn't feel aligned. I was 6 months in a tattoo studio, and I would end up with headache. I love them, like the people that taught me in the tattoo studio. I really love them, but it's just a different frequency. And when we are in a different frequency, our bodies and our energetic field starts to really tell us.
Yeah.
And so I start to have headache, and I start to have headache to be in that ambience. And so one day I was like, no, I'm just gonna try myself. And so I got the crystal and I got the needle, and I put the crystal in the needle, and I start tattooing my foot, and how the pigment went into my skin and how the line was straight and perfect. It was just really meant to be. It was like a gift. So from that moment on, I started to actually fix the tattoos that I did with the machine. And so that's how I started tattooing Handpoke. And because I was already part of a woman's circle with a lot of, we were 17 witches. I was 20 years old when I had this circle, and they were all 28 to like 30, 35, 38. And there was even a friend that was 15 years older than me. So they were all like really experienced priestesses. And I was just very lucky to be there and to participate, because we were closed. It's not like someone guiding a circle. We were a group of women getting together. We were horizontal, so there was no one really guiding. And that was really powerful. So I was I was already practicing rituals in my personal life at the time when I started to do the tattoo ceremonies. And so the ceremonies were really a reflection of my own spiritual path. And that's how I started doing the ceremonies, which was really different than what it is right now.
Wow. I remember I've had a tattoo. I've had two tattoos with the machine, and then and they hurt like a lot. And then I got yours, and I remember telling everybody I fell asleep, and they're like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, it was so relaxing. It was just, you know, when I went with you, it was the first time I ever heard the koshi chimes, and it was the most magical sound. I was like, oh my God." And then you had the crystals with the rainbow lights, and you were like, "Yeah, these are to attract the fairies." And then we did the meditation, and it was just like, wow, this is the most beautiful experience that I did not expect to get a tattoo. And then the poking was so gentle, like so gentle, soothing. It felt like a therapy, really. Yeah, so I was like, this is different. This is different. I love this. And everybody should get this. Everybody should who wants a tattoo should try it this way. So yeah, tell me about the talisman. Tell me how these tattoos are talismans for each person.
So for me, our existence is really sacred. So, and I think that for how I was brought up in nature, and also a lot for ayahuasca and plant medicine, that really made me understand the different dimensions of existence. And so when we mark our skin, we are making a blood pact with that symbolism. We are literally putting that symbol in our blood. We are engraving that image in our existence to the rest of our life. And that's very, very deep. And so for me, I find that it's fundamental to infuse that image with the right intention that we want to bring into our lives. And so maybe it's just a flower, or maybe it's just a moon, or maybe it's just 4 dots. But the intention and the prayer that we put that's what is going to be eternalized together, and that we're going to carry in our skin and our soul. Because our soul, our spirit, our emotions, we're all intertwined in our bodies. So what we put in our bodies also has an impact on our soul and our energetic field and our spirit. And so I call it a talisman because I invite the person who is getting a tattoo to bring their prayer. And so we are tuning in with this prayer, which can be, it can vary of like have more confidence and trust in life, have more freedom, and celebrate my existence, but always positive, always in the direction of the light, or even the integration of duality, which I consider also going in the direction of the light when we are able to integrate. And so I work with my own language. So the designs, they come from the person, but through me. So it's almost like I read the energy of the person, and the design comes through, but with my language. And then I have different languages. And because we are infusing with the prayer, the talisman, this conjunction of symbolism, will always carry this prayer and will always bring good luck. So talisman means object that brings good luck. And so this symbolism will always bring this energy because we are infusing with the prayer. So that's why it's a talisman.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's really nice. So I know you haven't done this at retreats. You mostly do this privately and maybe at festivals. But since this channel is about retreats, and I reached out to you because I thought, you know what, this could be something. And even if, like, I know you said this takes half a day, or it's
Yeah.
a long process, but maybe it could be like a premium offering, where someone says beforehand, who wants to uh, make a memory of this retreat with a special tattoo, and we have 2 spots available, or we have 3 spots available, and then that's it. And then it's creating this curiosity from the people who are going to be watching it happen, or nearby, know that it's there. It also could increase the amount of people that you work with. Maybe you don't even need that. I mean, I know you're doing a tour, so we'll talk about that too. But I think this could be a nice addition because it's so unique. People usually have very deep experiences, transformative experiences at retreats. And usually the only thing that we have to remember those moments is a photo, like videos and photos that we take on our phone. Or maybe somebody
Yeah.
makes a bracelet. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if it's a retreat that is, for me, in deep resonance with my work, I think working together could be really interesting. Maybe creating smaller talismans, because as I do handpoke takes long. So I could do, like, for example, 2 hours talismans. And so the people, actually, it made me remember that I was in a retreat, but it was towards the end. I was actually in a retreat for one day, and I got 3 people that were tattooing with me in the last day. I forgot because I wasn't invited by the retreat person, but she was the one who spoke about me. But that can work, and this was actually their intention, was to connect with what their process of transformation during the retreat. So to really bring into their bodies that experience, so it doesn't become like an experience that happens outside of their home, and then they go home and they kind of forget it. So I think that the talisman ceremonies, they can support people in the process of integration and embodiment of their experience in the retreats. And it's possible to do in different formats. So it's possible maybe to do for 3 or 4 people and then they lose an afternoon, or to do small talismans and that to be created during the retreat, because I create the talismans within the ceremony.
Okay.
So another option would be to create something very simple for everyone in the retreat. That's also another option.
Yeah.
So a talisman that represents the energy of the retreat. So that could be another option too.
And could the ceremony be translated into like a group thing where you have the meditation and the intention setting and but in the group?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I did that actually for how do you call it? Like this bride.
A bachelor party? A bachelorette?
Yeah, no, before you become a bride, before you become like before marrying, you have like this party. I forgot the name. It's like a kind of like, yeah, single farewell. So you make like a party with all our friends because you're getting married. And there was a group that were in Tulum, and 2 of them got tattooed by me in Bali. And so they found me, they realized I was in Tulum, and I came and I tattooed 6 of them. And so I did a cacao ceremony, and I did a guided meditation for all of them. And then I drew for all of them, and then I tattooed each one. So it was a big ceremony. And it also happened that 9 women came to my tattoo temple. You remember the size of my tattoo temple in Tulum? I got 9 women to come there once,
Wow.
and they all got tiny tattoos. It was a friendship tattoo that they got, and they were all different. But again, I did a cacao ceremony, I did a meditation for everyone, and I did sound healing for everyone, and then I drew, and then I tattoo one by one. So it's
Wow.
possible for small talismans. It's possible. I've done before.
Yeah. I think that would make the retreat even better. Like it's even if it's already good, that just takes it up a notch because every day you get to look at it and remember, with fondness.
Yes.
So, but you're a busy lady. You might not have room to be doing retreats. So, yeah, what's going on with your tour? Like you usually go to festivals or how does the tour work?
I don't go to like any festival because most of the festival has like drugs and alcohol, and it's not a good match for the experience I offer and how I like to offer. The only festival I've done so far that I remember, because I also go through so many things that sometimes I forget, but that I know that I went is a medicine festival, and it's a sober festival. And I was actually the one to initiate the tattoo ceremonies there. They didn't want tattoos, but I'm friends with the organizers and the organizers of the healing village, and so I've explained for them like that it's not just a tattoo. And then it opened, and now there are many tattoo artists there. um, so that's the only setup that I can do in a festival, is in a sober festival. And to be honest, it's already a lot because how I like to offer my experience is complete peace and silence. And festivals normally they are very exciting and they have a lot of energy and there's music everywhere and sounds everywhere. But it's a really amazing platform for me to connect with future clients and just with people in general. And so I've got like medicine festival for me, for example, is a really big portal of prosperity and expansion of my work. And so many people I just get to meet there, and then they have the experience in the temple that I create, because each city I go, I create a temple. And so related to festivals is this. I need to be a sober festival, and also like I don't do so many because it takes a lot of energy. So normally you asked also how is like my move, no? How I travel, and yeah. So I've done collaborations in the past with influencers, and so they had lived an experience that they felt to share, and so from that, uh, portals of abundance opened for me. So I've made collaborations, for example, with an influencer that talks about spirituality and self-development in France. She's French, and so like I have a lot of clients in France and then in Switzerland because they also speak French, and so these people talk about my work, and then I have messages from different parts of Europe of people that want to get tattooed from me. And so I have a database of this information, and then when I have enough people in a place, then I organize an agenda there. So that's why I go a lot to Paris and I go to the south of France because I did this collaboration. I have another kind of collaboration that also creates these spaces for me to go. For example, I went to Denmark because I tattooed a woman in the UK, and she moved back to Denmark, and she really loved my work, and we connected. And so she organized a group for me to come and offer my ceremonies. And so I have this system of abundance in which if a person really loves my work, they can gather 10 people, and then I come, I tattoo these 10 people, and then I tattoo them for free. So that's what happened in Denmark, for example. I tattooed her for free because she supported me in the production. She organized all the people. She found me a place to stay, and so we collaborate like that. And that's how actually like I started working in Europe in general, and it naturally happened like that. And then I made it like a system. So it happened that I tattooed a friend that I met in the jungle in the Amazon. She spoke about my work to her friends. Another friend of her from Luxembourg did the same. She invited me and showed me to all her friends. I was tattooing like it was really in the beginning. That's when I really learned to tattoo because she had like 30 friends for me to tattoo.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last one that like it was like an explosion. And then the last one that I tattooed, we're such soul sisters, and she invited me to go to her house. So I left Luxembourg and I went back and I stayed another 2 weeks in her house tattooing another bunch of amazing souls. And then it started to happen like this, that a friend told a friend, and then started to expand. And I tattoo a lot in the UK, thanks to Medicine Festival that they put me in their website. A lot of people find out. So in the festival itself, I tattoo like 8 to 10 people, but every year that I go, there is at least like 30 people. So I tattoo them either in London or in Glastonbury. So that's how it flows. So I get invited to some places, or I'm doing something, for example, in Switzerland. I know there are some people interested, but I'm also already going there for a retreat. So I put the intention and then I start sharing about my work and the clients come. Or for example, in Amsterdam, I announced because I was going there for a summit, a biohacker summit. And then I started announcing and people just came. So there are different ways that I work. It's been flowing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good. So if I want to work with you on a retreat, it's probably better to see like where you are in the world and just be like, "Oh, I'm going to have a retreat there too." Or do you have like a day free or something like that, or how would somebody collaborate with you?
So the best way to collaborate with me is that we get in contact and we see our schedules a lot beforehand, because I have my year planned very much in advance. But I can organize myself, And then depending, because I'm also going to naturopathy school and I'm going to Gestalt therapy school in Madrid. So it needs just to make sense. So for example, now I'm going to be in Europe. It doesn't make sense for me to go all the way to the US or to Asia. But if it's in Europe, it's better because my base is going to be now here. But if it's somewhere outside, we can plan in advance and then see how we can collaborate. I would say for me to do long distance, it's better that we have more people in the retreat because there is a big cost. If it's around, then it's okay that it's like 12 people, 10 people. So it really depends. It's like case by case that we have to talk.
That's amazing. You are badass. You really are. I love what you do, and I love how naturally it comes for you. And I can even tell in your energy, you're just very go with the flow, and um, that's something I'm getting better at, going with the flow. But structure has always been my thing. So I love these examples of people who go with the flow, and then just things open and open and open and open. It's like, look, see, you can go with the flow too, and you just follow what you love and follow the love.
But it's a combination, to be honest. Like for
Okay.
me, the medicine is to create a structure. So I wouldn't be able to do all that I'm doing if I didn't have a structure. Like I see my friends that are tattoo artists and they don't have a structure and they struggle a little bit. So actually, I was a master with going with the flow. But then I realized that if the river doesn't have a limit, it doesn't really flow, it becomes a pond. And so, like, it's a balance. It's like I have to learn from your medicine, and I'm really learning, and it's happening. But, and also, it's important to allow life to happen. So, it seems like I'm in a really good flow, but it's also because I'm putting structure to my flow.
Okay.
So it's a combination of like, where is my heart pulling me to? What makes sense? And how do I make that happen? So the oracle of my intuition and listening to the calling, but the masculine energy that makes it happen. So I, for example, have a very clear, organized database with all my clients, potential clients. I like to book everything ahead, so book the space ahead. And before, when I started, I was really just going with the flow, and I would struggle to find places to rent, to find clients. So if I know that I'm going to be in Paris in November, I can already start booking people with calmness. I don't need to rush to read through people's forms. And so I like to plan in advance, but then use my intuition to know where I want to be. So it's a combination.
Yes. I hope. I like that. I like that. So I'm looking at the questions here, just making sure that we got all the good ones. I mean, since you just talked about booking and balancing the masculine and feminine, this is a good one. So, how do you manage the physical demands of the hand poking and the energetic aspects of holding space for people?
Yeah. So I really learned to take care of myself in general. So it starts with the diet. I cannot have a super inflammatory diet because otherwise everything starts to ache because I'm inflamed. So I'm very much dedicated to have a super balanced diet, and also I do supplements, and I study that a lot. Like I said, I'm going to naturopathy school. I'm really passionate about it. and I use herbalism a lot in my life. So starts from within. And I also practice yoga since many years, so I'm constantly stretching. When I don't do that, that affects me energetically massively. It drains my energy massively, so I need to be always taking care of my body. And then, of course, like I learned that I cannot be tattooing with my back bent. So every place I go, either I find someone that can borrow me massage bed, or I buy a massage bed and then I gift because it's not that expensive. And this is something that I learned with time, because in the beginning I would tattoo in sofas or like in like a middle, because I never tattooed in studios. That's an important information. And so like I was always kind of like managing around and finding a way, and now I really put a priority. I need a massage bed, and I need a massage bed that I can regulate the height, because I cannot be like this. I need to be with my body straight, and then yes, my face is gonna be looking down, but I see tattoo artist friends that are like with their back completely bent, and because I do yoga and I have other researches in my life, I know that this is like I cannot live like that. So I take care a lot of the space and my position. The hand poking, people think that hurts the wrist, but actually like the movement is with all of the arm. And so like there was a moment that I had pain, but I think it was like here on this part. And I think it was more related to being inflamed. And so anything is it's an excuse that the body has to get pain, because you're just like full of inflammation. And so I haven't had that anymore. And energetically, so I'm constantly cleansing myself. I do flower baths, I do herbal baths with rosemary, I do rue flower baths, and I smudge a lot. And this is just like part of my daily life. And when we open the altar, I use rosemary essential oil with lavendin, that is similar to lavender, but it's kind of like the cousin of lavender, and it has camphor. And the camphor, it's chemical component, the biochemical component that has the ability energetically to create an energetic protection shield. So it really, how do you say, like it really,
Radiates?
no, kind of like exterminates the bad energy, bad energy, like the dense energies from around us. And so even like in practices, like spiritual practices in Brazil, when there is like heavy energy of like entities and dark entities that didn't manage to go to the light, we use camphor. So someone that is depressed in their home and everything is like dark and dirty, and you go and you clean everything, and then you put camphor that like sends away the spirits that are more dense. And so lavender is the combination of lavender, that is the divine mother, the energy of the divine mother, and camphor, that has this more like protective shield energy, with rosemary that brings the joy and also has camphor. I use the one that has a camphor because there are different rosemaries, but this one has camphor too. So it's the more like the divine masculine. It has like a masculine energy and brings the energy of joy. And so with these, we always like start with that. So from that moment, we start already protecting with the plants, and then I do the smudging. And then we pray. And when we pray, our angels, they listen to us, so they're close to us. And so I really ask also for the crystals to be there with us, guiding us. The crystals for themselves, they are protective. So there are many different tools that I use during the ceremony that are all intentionally crafted for supporting the separation of our energies. And I also do a pranic healing practice that is, I cut the cord in the end. So because I'm dealing with blood, there is like a very intimate relationship. And so in the end, after I close the ceremony, I always cut with a sword. Visually, I visualize a sword of violet light, and then I cut from off all the way from here to the bottom to the root chakra. And so I put different tools during the ceremony.
Wow. You have so much knowledge, and I love how intentional you are every time. Well, just the one other time that we talked in your temple, I remember just being like, wow, 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 just learning so much. Learning so much. Um, that's amazing. You're amazing. And this has been amazing. Is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to your tattoo ceremony or retreats?
I think just really putting attention to the transformational aspect of tattooing, because through time, tattooing became something static. And I think this is a reflection of how our society has repressed the Divine Mother and our connection with the earth and our spirit and our spirituality. And so back in the days, for those who don't know me, I study a lot ancient traditions in general, but especially the traditions, the Mesoamerican traditions, and now also studying Hinduism and Tantra. But I'm very pulled to understand how the elders used to do back then, because they are the ones that really hold the wisdom of being part of the earth that we forgot. So with the rise of patriarchy, one of the way that was found to control humanity, those who are in power, it was to disempower us. And they did that taking away our roots. And so when we look at the elders of traditions that are still alive, we see their ability to recognize themselves as being part of nature and not nature being somewhere where we go and spend time and refresh. And so looking at many traditions, we see their relationship with tattooing. And it's not just a way of making yourself beautiful. It is blending art and self-expression and beauty with deep intention. And so the tattooing has always been a transformational process in ancient traditions. So they would always represent like a milestone in their own lives. And so when you get married, or when you get your first period, and different milestones in life. And so I bring that to my practice. And I think it's really relevant to bring that, because anyone who comes to me, they must know that they're not coming to get something cute. And cuteness and beauty is extremely important. But for them to be able to really connect and receive that image, that blend of symbols in the body and as part of their soul, they need to have a connection and understand that that's the extension of their existence. So the talisman becomes the extension of the existence of those who get tattooed by me. And so it's really a way of anchoring the truth of their soul into their body, And that's why I see so much transformation and people get emotional by very simple, sometimes very, like sometimes really, really simple, just a tiny dotted snake. It has a very deep meaning because of the prayer, the intention, and the connection that I create with those who come to me. So yeah,
That's
that's
beautiful.
what I thought was relevant to share.
Yeah, it is. And especially because I've heard a lot of people say that I mean, I just learned that in Japanese bathhouses, if you have tattoos, they don't let you in, or they make you cover them up. You know, you have to wear something to cover them up because tattoos are associated with criminals and pirates and negative things.
Mm.
And for so many people, especially nowadays, that want tattoos for the reason you just mentioned, to honor
Mm-hmm.
a transformation as a milestone, it's something so
Mm-hmm.
sacred. It's something that does have a lot of emotion. And when somebody asks you about it, or even when you look at it, you're reminded of that moment in your life, or what it symbolizes and what it means for you. And so to change that narrative that a
Yeah.
tattoo is not, negative, it's not something that's for criminals or people who are pirates or whatever the stigma is, but it's like, wow, tell me about that. What's the story behind that? you
Yeah,
know
that's actually, I see. To be honest, I haven't really super read about the whole story, but I know that the most ancient tattoo that it was found, it was a mummy. And then recently I found out actually, but this I didn't research, that even before on the age of stones, like was super old, that people was already marking the bodies. And so there is a distortion, I think, not just related to tattoos, but any practice that can be of connection with ourselves. Um, Christianity and the system that we live, that has the intention of disempowering us, has created a stigma upon. So, sexuality, sensuality, tattoos, rituals. There is a very big witch wound that is still very much alive. And so anything that I see that, for example, painting our faces with natural paint, it's already like, oh, that's like wild, it's bad. Like, so everything that is wild, everything that is in connection and deep connection with the earth, there is stigma. And this stigma was created through many generations, with religion telling us that anything that was not pure and light, and anything that was like this crystalline, anything that was from the earth was sinful. And so tattoo just goes together. I see also that because it was for Europe and the Western society, it was something new that was brought from Asia. In my perception, what I understood is that with the war, um, the soldiers, they went to Asia and they saw like New Zealand, like the Maori people. So they saw in Thailand. I think from that time they kind of like brought, and then these were the people using. So in that movement, I think there was a distortion, and then there was this stigma created there. But really, anything that is of connecting us with Mother Earth, anything that is wild, we have to make so much effort to like show to people that that's actually a source of empowerment. And it starts with ourselves. It starts really with ourselves, with realizing ourselves how much stigma we have upon our erotic energy, upon our wild expression, upon our authenticity. I work now because I'm also doing a one-on-one mentorship for women. And one of the practices was to dance in the morning. And so she told me, one of them, she told me, I feel so uncomfortable if my partner sees me dancing. And we've been dancing ever since we are humans, but there's so much conditioning of how our self-expression it's not going to be accepted, how it's unsafe to express our wild self.
Yeah.
And again, that goes through many layers of our lives, and tattoo is one of them. So what people are going to think if I have a tattoo here?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think in Japan it's something that is not, this way of thinking is something more modern and not like back and super ancient. So I think it's part of also this system of oppression, and we need to be inside of this perfect box, and so we're more easily manipulated. And then that also makes me think about how when we get a tattoo, especially Handpoke and especially with crystals, because we are infusing the tattoo with the frequency of the crystals, because the metal is a conduction of energy and the crystal has its own frequency, like everything on earth and on the universe. And so when we poke, we are entering the energetic field and we are opening spaces. So I've came to realize through my practice, through these years, that we not only put energy, but we also open space for liberation of energy. So I see people getting really emotional in my ceremonies and feeling really touched, and it's not something in the mind, it's a sensation, and I see that is a big release too. So every time I poke, I'm opening that little space, and it's similar to what happens with
Acupuncture.
acupuncture.
Yeah.
There is the energetic flow of energy that actually we have everywhere. And so when we put a tattoo there, we are opening that space for liberation of energy. So the energy flow also changes in that moment, and you create a new moment. And so it's a process of liberation also. And it can be the intention, it can be of freeing yourselves from that fear. And because these blockages, these beliefs, they are in our bodies. They are stuck with, this is already science. Epigenetics has already proven that we receive information from our ancestors. And this is something I've also studied, family constellation. And so we have in our bodies the memories and the fears, and we don't even know where they come from. And so oh, it's so wrong to get a tattoo. Is this thought actually yours, or is this thought coming from your past generations and what has been told through your lineage, and now you're just repeating? And so when we open this space in the bodies, we allow that blockage to be liberated and transmuted.
Wow. My goodness. Every time you speak, it's just wow, so powerful. I remember when I did acupuncture the first time, and I think they put the needle either in this hand or in this hand, I can't remember. I was crying the whole session, loud. And the guy had to come in and he's like, it seems like you have a lot of pain, but can you please be more quiet because I have other people here? But it was uncontrollable. So that makes a lot of sense that with the hand poking, you would have similar experiences. I mean, I wasn't trying to cry, it was just like a poke and it just came out.
Wow.
And who
But it
knows?
was a lot of pain. That was a lot of pain.
I was just, he poked me. I started crying without even thinking. It was just immediate. And as it came out, it was kind of like I felt this pulling, and it felt so good to release it. So I was just leaning into it. I was like, okay, we're doing this, and
Yeah.
letting it happen. But it was a lot. It was a lot that I think what we tend to hold things and say like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But really, the space to release, even sometimes crying, among women, we're more willing to cry with each other because we're very
Mm.
emotional, more so than
Mm-hmm.
men are emotional beings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
men are emotional too, but you know what I mean. Women are generally more
Yeah, we have
accepting.
more water. Yeah.
And but still you wonder, like, are people going to judge me if I cry like this? If I cry in a way that it's too much, or it shows, like, it's okay to cry, but one tear. My aunt told me that once. She's like, it's okay to cry, but just one tear. But what if one tear is not enough? What if there's
Not
so much to
enough.
release?
What if you get one, like two at the same time? No,
Maybe.
let's not block our waters. We cannot block our waters. We cannot block the waters of the earth and our inner waters anymore. We just need to purify them and let
Yes,
them flow.
exactly. Let it flow. Hi, Manu.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you had time to sit and chat with me about this. This has been such an insightful conversation.
Mm. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm really glad to be here and to share with you.
Yes.